Hello, 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 beautiful and amazing souls. Today, I am so excited to bring forward, we're going to talk about purgatory. It's such a deep, 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 deep subject. So, hello, my name's Soraya. Today, it is Magic Mondays. So, we are stepping into the next generation magic that we are looking for here in the collective, here in this new world. Welcome, come on in. I'm a shaman, light worker, high priestess, shadow worker, here to really help us create this newness that we've been seeking. Really step into our power, really step into our realm of creation, really step into the power of our magnetism, and really to bring ourselves into this next generation, this next level, this next breakthrough that we've been seeking. So come on in, tune on in, sit on down, grab your tea. Let's dive in. So first I need to really clarify that purgatory is such a serious, serious place and serious energy. Me as a shaman, I get to experience these different places and go to them firsthand in spirit, in my essence, and experience the energy. So I really, really, really want to really put it out there that this is not for the person just stepping out of witchcraft. This isn't for the person that's just stepping into shamanism. This is something that is very advanced. Like warning label. If you step into a place that you are not ready for through shaman experiences, through shaman journeys, you can get trapped in that space and you can create cycles for yourself, loops for yourself that can be very depressing, can be very can be very lost. Like seriously, psychokinesis. Like you can really create spaces in the mind and your psyche that you become trapped in. So I really want you to make sure that you are trusting yourself and your guides before you step into any next generation magic or next generation witchcraft or spirituality, because if you're meddling in things where you don't belong, it creates ripples in time, it creates ripples in your energy, it creates ripples in the spaces in which you travel. Like seriously, be careful of what you're doing. We don't go snooping around in places that we're not ready for. Now, bringing that up to the spirituality and the shamanism part of things, if you do not know your guides, if you don't know your gatekeeper, if you don't know your guides, your travel guide, you should not be traveling to places out of your ego. Meaning, you should not be traveling to places that you just want to experience. If there's something that you need to learn in that space, you connect with your guides and you ask them what they have to show you. Ask them what you need to learn in that space before traveling to places like this. Especially when it comes to places like purgatory. Purgatory is one of the darkest, most depressing places that I have ever experienced through my shamanic journeys. I have goosebumps. I'm not even kidding. It's not for the little leagues. It's not for people that are just trying things. It's not for people that are just stepping into it. This is serious, serious next level stuff. And you need to really be serious with yourself, your guides, your angels, when you're stepping into places like this. Now, when it comes to purgatory, we're going to talk about what purgatory is, what the energy is like. I'm not going to talk about how to get there. That's between you and your guides and angels. Or I run a coaching program and it helps you step into your magic, step into your power. Reach out, we can chat. So we're going to talk about purgatory, the energy of purgatory, why you would want to go there, how people get trapped in purgatory, and how they get stuck in purgatory, and how you can help them out. Alright, so let's dive right in. Purgatory is one of the most depressing, low energy places that I have ever been. It was one of the hardest shaman journeys I've went on, and I went there more than once. It's dark. The energy is really dark. It's really low vibe. There's so much depression. It's hard to keep your mind without going into darkness, because we all have darkness within us. And when you step into places like purgatory, or the catacombs, even, that's a difficult place to be also. Also, there's darker realms that are really tough to be in as well. But when we step into a place like purgatory, I'm going to burn some rosemary here. When we step into a place like purgatory, the energy is very, I have goosebumps. the energy is very dense, very dark, very depressing. And when we step into these places, our darkness can get triggered, or it does get triggered. It reacts with the energies that are around you, right? Our darkness reacts with the darkness around you. So when we step into purgatory, if we're not really keen and strong in our spiritual beliefs, in our energy, in our high frequency, if we're not strong in our shadow, like, let's put it out there, if we're not strong in our shadow, we can become lost. We can get stuck there. And I'm not even kidding you when I say lost and stuck there, because that is the energy that is there. Now we're going to dive into how people get stuck in purgatory. When people in this human realm are really, really, really depressed, like really dark, depressing, dealing with a lot of shadows, dealing with a lot of vindictiveness, betrayal, pain, depression, sickness, mental illness, this creates this bond with them in purgatory, and they become interlocked with this darkness, with the shadow, with the depressing sickness within ourselves, and this creates a bond within purgatory, within the soul of the person that is experiencing the sickness. So when it comes to mental illness, there is a connection to purgatory. Now, bringing it a little bit deeper to a quantum level and to a galactic shamanism level, we all have missions. We all have this purpose. And sometimes our soul is, we're going to say damned, which is a terrible Christian word, but our soul is connected to the space because it is a clearing that we are meant to step out of. Now, when we are reborn after, I can't think of the word. When we come back into reincarnate into this earth, and we have a space that is still stuck in our purgatory, we reincarnate with this depressing energy, with this mental illness, with this sickness, with this illusions, with this shadow aspect triggered within us. And it leads to addiction and sickness and schizophrenia and like really dark places that our psyche gets stuck into. It is incarnate in our soul's energy, and it is incarnate when we step into this earth. So when we have these times in purgatory, our soul literally can get stuck in this space. And I mean, anybody that's going through deep, deep depression and commits suicide, your soul becomes trapped in this space. And not just people that commit suicide, people that are like psycho killers, like super dark, dark energy. Your soul becomes bound to this energy. It becomes bound to this purgatorian place. And it's just a realm in the layers of our existence. Like, we are multidimensional creatures. It is a realm in our layers of our existence. It's one of the lower realms within the 9 realms. So when it comes to purgatory and a soul's incarnate experience in purgatory, there is a level of deficiency. That's interesting that they say it like that. There is a level of deficiency that takes for you to experience that part of purgatory. When we come in, reincarnate into this earth, we come with our soul's lessons in our blueprint, in our luminous field. And when we have this purgatorian energy within us, this is our shadows that we have to work through in this lifetime. So I feel like that's why a lot of star seeds and you know, star seeds and galactic souls and indigos and, you know, all these new age words, but that's why a lot of them have such deep darkness, such deep purgatorian tendencies, depression, addiction, fear. I don't want to say insecurities because it's so much deeper than that, but it brings me to like a psycho killer or phobias and these really dark psyche tendencies that we have within us. When we go to such a dark place within our depression, within our sickness, we are to cleanse this out through this lifetime. We are to cleanse this out through this soul's incarnate experience. And not everybody has to go through purgatory. So this isn't something that a lot of people are going to click on. This isn't something that a lot of people are going to look into. When it comes to Christianity, they say your soul gets trapped in darkness, in purgatory, anytime you sin. That's not how this works. Your soul gets trapped in purgatory when you hold on to the most eternal sin, which is the damned part of ourselves. It is the damned part of our essence. It is the part of our shadow that thinks it deserves to be damned forever. It's the part of a shadow and depression and sickness that is, I'm just going to give up because I'm stuck in this damned part of myself. It is something that our soul and our human experiences in this energy. It is something that we experience in this lifetime, and we bring ourselves deeper into this energy. Purgatory is no joke. I remember my second... Okay, good cry. I remember my second step into Purgatory, the second time I traveled here. The first time was just to experience that with my guides. They wanted me to see what Purgatory was like. You know, part of my shaman gifts is to be able to go to these different realms and help people through these spaces. And it was the first time I went there, it took me a long time to work through the depression that I had picked up in that space. Like, we carry energy with us, right? I don't know why I get so, my energy gets so expansive that it skips. But we carry this energy with us. So after I'd strengthened myself through my spiritual practices, it was time to go again. And it was interesting. Look, I'm going to cry. When I got huge goosebumps. I've had people in my family that have experienced these deep forms of addiction and sadness and despair. And one of my closest friends committed suicide in that space. And the second time I stepped into Purgatory, I was guided to go through this meditation and this experience into Purgatory. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand why. But they guided me through what Purgatory looked like. They guided me through what Purgatory felt like. And some of these movies, like these scary movies, kind of has a good idea of what you can become trapped in there. Some of these scary movies kind of portray it pretty well. But going through Purgatory, seeing all the depression and the sadness and the, you know, as a serious, sensitive soul and an empath, it's heart-wrenching to be in such a place. But also being a warrior and a shadow worker, we know that we have all of these things within us. There is no separation. We are multidimensional souls. We are quantum souls. We are connected to everything and everybody, every energy, everywhere. So walking through this Purgatory, I came to this house, and I'd never seen the house before. I'd never seen it in a vision. I'd never seen it, I'd never seen it anywhere before. And I came to this house, and the windows were all broken out and boarded up, and everything was so, like, in the shadows, such a shadow place. Everything was dark and creepy, and I came to the space. There was no lights, there was no power, there was no food. Everything was, like, broken and shattered and just so dark and depressing. And when I walked through this house, I walked upstairs to this attic of the space, and it's the only place that there was kind of light because the roof was broken. And the light from outside was coming through the roof. And I saw in that moment somebody that I knew, and this was this woman that had committed suicide like years ago. And I instantly felt this deepness and this tear, and you're not supposed to experience those deep emotions in those places, so we learned to let them flow. And she was there with another guy, and I didn't know the guy. But they were like feeding off of each other's darkness and sadness and depression and suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies. I couldn't talk to her. That's how deep into this depression and sickness she was. I've been to many different realms, and I've talked to a lot of different spirits. I could not reach her. I could not touch her. I had to connect with her in her darkness, and I feel this big ball in my solar plexus when I talk about it. Like, I had to connect to her in her darkness. I had to reach her at the darkest level that she was in. I remember her looking at me like she didn't know where she was. She had no idea. She was so trapped in her own darkness, she had no idea she was stuck in such a dark place. That's how deep Purgatory is. I remember when I finally kind of got her attention, she looked at me like she was hollow, like so stuck in depression, so stuck in sadness. It was very sad. And I remember touching her heart space and getting her to like awaken, awaken. once I was finally able to connect to her heart, I was able to ask her to come with me. Like I said, this isn't a place for you anymore. You've served your time in purgatory. You've served your time in purgatory. I was able to help her out of that space. It was one of the most profound shamanic experiences I've ever had. And after helping her cross out of purgatory and into the higher realms of light so her soul could reincarnate, so her soul could come into wholeness, I got to see her in Heaven's Gate. I got to see her on the other side of the rainbow. It was the most beautiful experience I had ever had. I channeled a message on it on my Facebook. It was very beautiful. It was a hard space to be. It took me a while to snap out of it, to snap back into this higher realm of energy, to snap into the higher realm of light within me. But to see her in that space and to help her through those illusions that we get trapped in is a very beautiful, profound experience. I've helped a few other souls out of purgatory. I've had a few people that came to me in a car crash, and another person that came to me through addiction. Like, spirits come to me sometimes to help them through these spaces. But none of them was as real, and none of them was like that experience. Like, I walked through the whole experience. And I feel like a big part of myself learned to accept my shadows on a totally different level, and learned to accept my depression and my insecurities and my old tendencies, my old wounding on a completely different level. And to help those souls through that space is such an honor and a beautiful place. And as a shaman, as a healer, to be able to go in those places is very, very powerful and very, very beautiful. But it's not for everybody. If you're not comfortable with your shadow, if you don't know your shadow, if you can't stand up to the darkness, the demons within yourself, and the darkness, the demons within the people and the collective around you, you have no right to go into places like this. You have no right to walk through the shadows until you know your own shadows. Like, I cannot stress that enough. It is so important to do your shadow work. It is so important to know yourself, to know your shadows. If you don't, you can become trapped in these places, and you create voids and timelines, and you create voids within your soul's experience and your energy, and it takes time to heal those things. Getting back to my purgatory experience, it was one of the most profound experiences that I've went to on a shamanic journey. And I went to many, many places, but we learned to experience darkness on a different level, and we learned to love on a different level. And it really helped me understand addiction and illusions and sadness and depression and turmoil on a completely different level. So I urge you, while you're on your collective journey, to really honor the space of depression. And a lot of people don't understand depression, and a lot of people don't understand the darkness, and a lot of people don't understand illusions and insecurities and inner turmoil that we go through. When we experience deep traumatic wounds in our lifetimes, we go to these places. It is part of our healing process. But I urge you that next time you see somebody that is very depressed or in a dark state, to hold the space of love for them. You don't understand what they're going through. You don't understand how deep it could be or how deep they can go. And on another note, if you do know somebody that is really experiencing a lot of darkness and illusions, or like schizophrenic tendencies or some deep fears, reach out to reach out to a healer, reach out to somebody that can help guide you through the spiritual process that is entangled with purgatory, that is entangled with depression and suicide and addiction. Really seek spiritual help, not just mental help, because putting more pills down a person only leads to more addiction. So seek help. Seek a healer or a shaman or a priest or priestess. seek help to help them through what there is that they're going through. Don't just push them aside because you don't understand. Beautiful. How did I get 2 bundles. Where's the... Oh, I have some lavender. Alright. Getting stuck in purgatory. I'm going to go over my notes here. I want to be the highest of service for you guys. How people get lost and stuck there. What purgatory is like. I think I covered it all. Beautiful. Just know if you've experienced shadow aspects of yourself and you've been guided to tune into different places within the darker realms, really make sure you trust yourself and trust your guides. They will guide you where you need to be. Our guides in the heavenly realm and the earthly realm are our saving grace when it comes to a lot of these deep soul shamanic travelings, right? So really trust yourself and trust your experience. And if you feel like you get trapped or stuck somewhere, you really need to seek help, seek assistance. Like, don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. A lot of times our darkness attracts darkness, and a lot of times our light attracts light. But if we don't know the difference, then sometimes we can become trapped in these different places and different spaces. So don't get trapped in the illusion of where you think you are or what you think you know. Interesting. Alright, my loves, I hope that was helpful. Good luck. Safe travels. You are the light. You are the way. We'll see you guys next week.